tower of pizza.
I don't
We're making dough in Chicago. It's 90% Chicago, 10% Brooklyn, 100% Nino Coniglio. And you just like decided one day, like, I'm gonna try my hand at pizza?
No, I was hungry.
You were hungry?
It's nice that they have in New York. And coming to Chicago, I couldn't fill that habit. So I figured, it's just pizza. I've been watching all my life. I'll just make it myself. What's the big deal?
You like, traveled around, like, bothering people?
That's what when I first started, I used to go into pizzerias and say, hey, how do you make pizza dough? And they'd laugh at me. And then they'd relent and say, okay, what do you do? And I'd tell them, and they'd laugh even harder. And then they'd say, okay, go home and try this. And they'd give me one tip. And sort of one day, 5 years in, I spun a pie and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. What did I just do? It was just incredible.
That's amazing.
But it took 5 years of obsessive baking.
Listen, I've only been here one day, but so far the pizzerias that I've seen wouldn't last a freaking month in New York City, and your thing would make it. Like, your crust would definitely make it in New York. And I've noticed since I've been here, like, it's like Chicago's like peppered, I guess, with stuff.
Yeah.
Where like you're in the Lower East Side and it's just like bing, 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 bing. Like in Chicago, you kind of gotta be like, oh, we're gonna go to Robert's for dinner, and then we're gonna walk 7 blocks over here and go over here.
I mean, the thing about Chicago that I think is amazing is that the communities are just starting to like really grow, and they're growing around the culinary, arts.
Yeah.
That's the part that's so cool, and we feel like we're pioneers.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love is that pizza seems to be like this universal food.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And everybody, it doesn't alienate anyone. People just walk in the door and they belong.
Yeah.
I mean, and then they might have an opinion, about.
Pizza's a really opinionated thing.
But I love it because it really does build community.
Oh yeah. You mix the flour and the water together without the yeast, like lightly. I add the wild yeast starter culture, mix that up, and the rest of the flour and the rest of the water.
So you don't have yeast in the starter?
No, I make that. I've had that for 7 years in starter culture go. So when I'm done with this, when I pour this in, there'll be a little bit left, and then I'll fill this back up with flour and water, and that little bit that's left in there will breathe into the whole thing again. And in 24 hours, it's like ready to go again. Now we put the salad, because of the salt that kills the yeast.
It's always so cool. The pizza's gonna be so nice.
I can feel it shaking. Can't hold it still. I can feel it breaking.
So your wife told me you sell a hot dog stand in New York, dirty water dogs?
Selling dirty water dogs.
Dirty water.
When I was a kid, when I was 18, I thought I would make a killing selling hot dogs. So I took all the money I had, bought myself a hot dog wagon. So I figured I'd go down to Battery Park and sell them to the tourists. Down in Battery Park, along the Statue of Liberty.
There were tourists in Battery Park back then?
There were a lot of tourists.
I thought it was like on the water back then.
This was probably 1979, I think. As soon as I set up, I'm selling hot dogs faster than I can make them. And within about an hour later, a woman comes up to me who doesn't speak English, and she says to me, "This is her corner." And I said, "Well, where's your stand?" And she points to a stand about 2 blocks away. And I said, "No, this is my corner. That's your corner." And she just smiles and walks away. And then about a half hour later, 3 big goons came along, said, "Hey pal, you want to take a hike? You want to see that stand floating in the Hudson River?" So I said, "Yes, sir. I'm on my way."
So then what happened? Where'd you go?
So now it's late on a Friday. It's Friday evening, Friday night, and I'm driving around with a hot dog wagon, a couple 100 pounds of hot dogs, and no place to sell them. Feeling pretty sorry for myself because I've got every penny I had in that hot dog stand, and I passed CB. I'm down the Bowery back when it was really the Bowery, and I passed CBGB's, and I don't know much about CBGB's at the time, but I do notice that there's 100 people online. They're all stoned, and I bet they're hungry. So I popped up my hot dog stand in front of CBGB's, doubled my price, and sure enough, I started selling hot dogs faster than I can make them. And that's when the owner came out, Hilly Crystal came out and looked at me and said, "Hey, that's a great idea." Wish I had thought of it first. And I said, "You don't mind?" He said, "No, you thought of it first, it's yours." So I set up my hot dog stand there and was selling there, and had customers, Patty Smith and Joey Ramone. In fact, Joey Ramone used to sleep on the hood of my car many Friday and Saturday nights in front of CBGB's. That's my step into the culinary arts, as you call it.
I can feel it shaking. Can't hold it still.
Yeah, so you're from New York, you moved to Chicago. Like, how's it feel to be living in the second city over here?
Hey, at this point I consider it the first city. And I think Chicago is great pizza. I think the pizza that I'm making is a great pizza. It's different.
This guy makes pizza. Deep dish ain't pizza. Deep dish is not pizza. Chicago, you don't make pizza. Go. That's it. Let's go fucking drink whiskey now.